affects the genomics, or literally the DNA of our human DNA strain, which in 2003, they finished mapping it. So in 2003, they completed the Human Genome Project, literally knowing every single link of the human DNA strain, or chain rather, and how to influence them. So that's what we're going to talk about, is the health potential and the future of human health now, utilizing this thing called nutrigenomics. But before I get into that, I want to give you guys kind of a little, just a brief synopsis, kind of filling in the blanks where Dr. Gloria in my introduction. So the picture there on the left is actually proof that I can clean up when asked to. That's when I was asked to speak at our global convention last year about a new product that we released called Icy Bright. And the picture on the right is kind of how I prefer to roll. That's my jam. I'm a casual guy. I love to be casual most of the time, but when necessary, I can look professional, and hopefully I'm kind of somewhere in between now because I'm not wearing a hat. But why did I even get into this company? Why was network marketing, specifically LifeVantage, appealing to me? Well, the reality was it wasn't. No network marketing company was appealing to me. In fact, I avoided it like the plague. I had a sign on the door of my practice for many years that said no soliciting. And then toward the end of my chiropractic career, there was a couple companies that I named personally underneath that no soliciting sign, because I didn't want any of them coming into my practice, and not because they didn't have good products or not because they weren't necessarily good people. I just didn't like how I felt when they came in and tried to sell me stuff, and then I told them no thank you, and they would turn around and try to sell my patients, and had to call security a couple times. So that was kind of my initial experience, and the reason was I didn't have any friends or family members who had ever done network marketing and been successful. So I would tell you, admittedly, I was very jaded. And then I read a book called The Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, his follow-up book to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And for the first time, my mind was open to the possibility of network marketing, because it could allow me to have leverage and create a B quadrant business. Then I was actually looking for a company. Turns out I was already using the products of one of them. LifeVantage is the secret here. So I was using our Protandim NRF2 product for about 3 months prior to receiving a call from my sponsor, Blue Elam, who's a firefighter in Tucson, had heard me on the radio, or someone he knew had heard me on the radio and reached out and contacted me. I was already on the product. I already had about 30 patients that were already on it. And not because I was getting it from LifeVantage, because I was getting it at GNC. It was a retail product, and so were my patients. And it was working phenomenally until I got the call inviting me to come be part of the transition team here in Phoenix, Arizona, that were responsible for taking it out of retail into network marketing, or what I thought was going to be professional suicide, by jeopardizing my relationship in my practice, in my community, and in my family by getting involved in one of those pyramid schemes. But the product was the product they were talking about. I was already using it. I already had trust in it. I just needed to trust the company that they wouldn't change the formula and they would make it affordable. And they actually lowered the price. So it worked out really well. 18 months later, after implementing it into my practice, into my life, through other colleagues, I was able to sell my practice and cancel my radio show. And why that was important to me, because I had a 3-year-old son and a newborn daughter at home that never saw daddy. Because as Gloria mentioned, we had the 4th largest chiropractic practice, solo chiropractic practice in Arizona, seeing between 350 and 500 patients a week, and 80 to 90 hours a week outside my home with my practice and my hour-long radio show, which was interview-based. So every hour on the air was about 10 minutes of prep with my guest. So kept me away from my home for hours and hours and hours, and that was no longer serving me. I wanted to be daddy more than doctor. And LifeVantage, and specifically Protandim NRF2, gave me the financial wherewithal to be able to do that. And in May of 2010, I sold my practice. It's actually now been on the 10th of May. It was 12 years ago that I went full time with LifeVantage. And my kids are now 13 and 16. They're about to be, my son will start his junior year next year, my daughter her 8th grade year, and all they really know and have memories of is daddy at home. And that's how I love it. Now we're influencing people all around the world, not just in my town and not just when my practice is open. So this has been a massive addition of arrows in my quiver of passion to educate people on how, again, to be their own health advocates, take responsibility for their own health, and should they choose to, share it with other people. And it allows me to fulfill my purpose much more gratifyingly and much more contributory to the world than being a chiropractor ever did. And I loved being a chiropractor. It just had its significant limitations to it where this does not. So let me get into actually the information. And before I do, I want to share with you the disclaimer. This is literally for educational purposes only. There are going to be some specific things that I talk about with my past background as a chiropractor, how I implemented these products into my practice, how I've taught other people how to do so as well, because with healthcare providers, specifically these types of questions come up, and I'll address that at the end. And I will be sharing some information that is readily available on the internet. I am only sharing the sources. I did not do any fact checking. I did not do any background on any of it. I just did research, and I'm going to share some of that with you today. So that's basically in essence what that disclaimer says. But let's get into what we're talking about now. We're literally talking about the paths to genetic health and literally the choices that we have to make as human beings. So imagine each and every one of you at that crossroads. You have two choices now in the genetic health spectrum. You have the pharmaceutical approach, or what is called pharmacogenomic drugs, and their goal is to transform medicine. Or you have the option to the right, which is nutraceutical activators to transform human health. Now, before I get into either one of these, I want to share with you, they are both incredibly impactful, and there is a place for both of them, and they are amazing as far as the results they can provide human beings. You just have to, and the people you share this information with have to decide which of these two pathways is the best pathway, because here's the real kicker. They do not cross at any point in the future. They are completely opposite spectrums of dealing with the same human DNA. They're just getting there from different pathways, and these paths, like I said, do not cross. So you can do one or the other. If you try to do both, you're probably going to mess up both. But let's get into this discussion and let you know that whatever choice you make, there are consequences. That's why I want to educate you so you can make the best one, and for the best one for your friends and family moving forward. So let's talk first about the left option, the pharmacogenomics option. And if that's not a term you're familiar with, let me describe to you what this means. Pharmacogenomics is the study of how genes, the genes of your body, affect a person's response to drugs. Okay, I'm going to read that again because it's very important. Pharmacogenomics is the study of how genes affect a person's response to drugs. So what is necessary here is the drugs, the pharmaceutical intervention strategy, and how your body responds to it. The more we know about the DNA, the more they can formulate it and make it so that your DNA works with it favorably, and you ultimately get the outcome that you're looking for. So this relatively new field combines pharmacology, which is the science of drugs, and genomics, the study of genes and their function, to develop effective, safe medications and doses that will be tailored to a person's genetic makeup. Now, the ultimate intention is safe, but as anything in this category, there usually is side effects, and that is one of the things that you're usually informed about before you're given an option. But that is what pharmacogenomics is. Now, let's talk about pharmacogenomics, or this approach, in the news. And I'm going to give you some magazine articles or show you some magazine covers over the last several years that are speaking directly to this approach. First, the National Geographic on the left. So National Geographic, not a scientific journal, not a research journal, and usually found, if they're in a doctor's office, they're in the lobby, not in the doctor's office. So cover of National Geographic, the DNA revolution. With new gene editing techniques, we can transform life, but should we? So now we have an ethical question raised here in this cover story by National Geographic. Time magazine on the right. This baby could live to be 142 years old. Dispatches from the frontiers of longevity. So cover stories. This is how the information approach, or the quest of researchers and scientists, how they start to get their intentions out there to the public to test the waters of your acceptance. They put them on magazine covers, which generates curiosity. People buy the magazine, and they slowly start getting informed on this process. Now, a couple different ones. Time magazine again. Can Google solve death? the search giant is launching a venture to extend the human lifespan. That would be crazy if it weren't Google. This is actually this was a little bit before the press release where Google did just that. They started a business. They started a laboratory with collaboration from Apple and Genentech. I'll share the press release with you to literally get into the frontiers of this pharmacogenomics with regard to, or the entire focus on human longevity. Now, Discover magazine, one could argue it is kind of a scientific journal, but the cover story there, Science of Aging. Does DNA hold the secrets to longevity? We know it does, but the bigger question is, can we influence it? That's really what their intentions were. So now here's the Google, Apple, Genentech collaboration press release. If you look at the date there, September 18th of 2003. So Calico Labs, a new company focused on health and well-being. I'll read a couple of the excerpts here. Google today announced Calico, a new company that will focus on health and well-being, in particular, the challenge of aging and associated diseases. There's profit in that. So says Arthur Levinson, chairman and former CEO of Genentech and chairman of Apple, will be chief executive officer and founding investor. So Google, Apple, and Genentech collaborated to form Calico Labs. I put the website down at the bottom. If you're taking notes, please write that down. Please go visit their website. Please look at the press releases and look at what their approach is. You'll be probably fascinated by this. Now, I want to get into a little bit deeper on Calico and who they're partnering with, because Calico is the initial partner, but they partnered with AbbVie. AbbVie is a large pharmaceutical company, and this was their initial press release on their partnership. It says AbbVie and Calico announced a novel collaboration to accelerate the discovery, development, and commercialization of new therapies, meaning making money by providing drugs for people to benefit from. That's their real intentions here. And it says Calico to create a leading R&D facility in the San Francisco Bay Area focused on aging and age-related diseases, including neurodegeneration and cancer. Pretty bold effort when they started, pretty bold partnership here with AbbVie. So I want to share with you additional partnerships with AbbVie, or they re-upped, if you will. They started this collaboration in 2014, and they re-upped it last year. So a little over a year ago, February 3rd of 2021, Calico and AbbVie share update on early stage clinical programs. And I want to read what this says, a little bit closer than the first one, which was 7 years prior. So on the New York Stock Exchange, AbbVie is a publicly traded company, and Calico Life Sciences today announced an extension of their leading edge collaboration to discover, develop, and bring to market new therapies for patients with age-related diseases, including neurodegeneration and cancer. This is the second extension of the collaboration originally established in 2014. Now, I want to cut to the bottom, where it says, we set out 7 years ago to bring forth a unique partnership with AbbVie that we developed, or that we believed could yield both novel insights into the biology of aging and first-in-class targets for age-related diseases. So said Arthur Levinson, the CEO of Calico. Now, he says, our 3 clinical initiatives and more than 20 discovery and preclinical programs to date are clear evidence of how productive a partnership we've become. Or what, I can't truly see it there. There's something, my navigation bar is kind of overshadowing that. But in essence, this was last year. Nothing has changed in the last 16 months. So this collaboration between Calico and one of the leading pharmaceutical companies in the world has yielded no products to market at current, but you can see what their intentions are and what they're trying to accomplish. So far, a 9-year-old effort and a 7-year partnership with AbbVie has yielded 0 products to market. That's worth noting, and I'm going to share with you why. So now let's kind of look at, this is something I noticed that happened yesterday. So the same company that was Google, that is partnering with Google and Apple and Genentech, in other words, Calico Labs, they have a 7-year partnership. They were in the news yesterday, where Warren Buffett of Berkshire Hathaway backs out of AbbVie, Bristol Myers Squibb Holdings. This was yesterday. It says, after a gung-ho push into biopharma at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, Warren Buffett's investment shop, Berkshire Hathaway, more comfortable with tech stocks like Amazon and Apple, has hived off two major pharma holdings. The outfit has exited a $410.7 million investment in AbbVie and severed its $324.4 million position in Bristol Myers Squibb. And it goes on. So I don't know what this means necessarily. I just thought it was kind of fascinating that one of the richest men in the world backed out of a business partnership with this company investing in their future. I don't know what it means. I'm not trying to predict anything. I don't know if it's writing on the wall. I just thought it was interesting that Warren Buffett backed out with a massive financial backing out of AbbVie relationship, which occurred yesterday. So in the recent news, now I want to bring something a little more current. So Apple, Google, and Genentech started their partnership back in 2013. Back in January of this year, you can see the red arrow there. This was the formal press release of Altos Labs, funded by Jeff Bezos, who at the time of this publication was the richest man in the world. Now Elon Musk holds that title, but let's just look at this press release. It says Altos Labs launches with the goal to transform medicine through cellular regeneration programming or rejuvenation programming. Let me read that again. This is very key in their intentions. Altos Labs launches with the goal to transform medicine through cellular rejuvenation programming. This started with a $3 billion investment from Jeff Bezos. Pretty amazing. You can go to Altos Labs. I encourage you actually to go to Altos Labs and read up on the amazing people, Nobel laureates, world-renowned scientists and researchers that are part of this collective effort. I mean, if Jeff Bezos was then the richest man in the world to invest $3 billion, you know he's going to go for the cream of the crop to partner with him, and he has. Good news is that's awesome. There's going to be some amazing collaboration out of this effort, but there is no products to market yet. But it's the intention and the statement that is being made here that human genetic potential is the wave of the future. Otherwise, the richest man in the world, now the second richest man in the world, would not be investing in it. And he certainly wouldn't be gathering the caliber of people that he's gathering. Please go look at altoslabs.com and look at just the unbelievable caliber of the people that Mr. Bezos is partnering with on this effort. Now let's look at what this is interesting. This was an article I found in Popular Mechanics, of all places. It says Jeff Bezos is paying for a way to make humans immortal. Look at the date, January 26th of this year. He's backing a new biotech company working on cellular rejuvenation programming. And it says billionaire Jeff Bezos is reported to be funding an anti-aging organization. The new lab will have locations in California, England, and Japan. The scientists include luminary who won the Nobel Prize for research on how to age cells backward. That's important, guys. And it says it sure looks like Jeff Bezos has plans to cheat death. The founder and former CEO of Amazon has reportedly made an investment in the freshly launched Altos Labs, a biotech startup focusing on cellular rejuvenation programming to restore cell health and resistance with the goal of reversing disease to transform medicine. Again, the goal is to transform medicine. So if that's what your goal is and you align with that, then that's an awesome effort. I think it's an awesome effort regardless, because when you optimize and you transform medicine, you have better outcomes for people. And let's just face it, people do in fact die of diseases. In fact, more now than yesterday, more this year than last year, more the next decade than now. It is a very, very noble effort. And the way to do it is scientifically. But they're focusing on pharmaceuticals, which always have side effects, and they're focusing on medicine, not human wellness. And I'm not saying it's not the right approach. It is a massive approach. Otherwise, people like Mr. Bezos and his company would not be getting involved. So back to the magazine articles before we get into nutrigenomics. Now, The Economist. This is important. The Economist is a business journal. It's not a scientific journal. It's not a news journal. It is a business journal. But on the cover of a business journal, specifically a money magazine, Cheating Death, the science that can extend your lifespan. Why would this be on the cover of a financial journal? Because it's profitable when they find the answers. Or Bloomberg Business Week, another financial magazine. Cover story, the forever pill. Inside Novartis's quest for the first anti-aging drug. Well, guess what? There is not yet to market by any company. Altos Labs, Calico Labs, Novartis, or any of the other companies that are doing it. There's no anti-aging drugs to market yet. And I emphasize yet. But yet is a positive, and I'll share with you why. Because there is something called nutrigenomics. It was that pathway to the right. Let me read the definition. Nutrigenomics is the study of how nutrients interact with your genes and how individual genetic differences can affect your requirements and how you respond to vitamins, minerals, and compounds in the foods we eat. Nutrigenomics is one of the most exciting, revolutionary, and cutting-edge fields in nutrition, genetics, and modern medicine. I think it's pretty interesting that it's the same languaging, basically, the same focus on optimizing genomics or the human gene, but it's a totally different strategy with vitamins, minerals, natural compound, basically nutrition. And you obviously see I love this picture of the DNA strain made up of fruits and vegetables. That's the awesome approach. And the cool thing about this, no side effects. This is powerful. So how does this work and why should you care about it? Well, here's what nutrigenomics is. It's based on 3 factors. Nutrition working through cell signaling to turn on genes. In other words, to turn on your DNA. First, nutrition. What is the actual signaling molecule? What are you eating? Is it a vitamin? Is it a mineral? Is it a compound? Is it a fruit? Is it a vegetable? All of them fall into that category of nutrition. And the response it creates is called cellular signaling. How the cell's communication system deals with that nutritional application, and then how the genes are activated accordingly. So turning on health promoting genes is the final goal here, not to optimize medicine or to transform medicine to optimize gene expression or gene activity, or optimally to optimize human health, to transform human health. One is to transform medicine. The other is to transform human health. Now let's look at the 3 ways we're going to talk about doing this tonight. First, and the most powerful and profound, are activators. Literally activating a pathway to your DNA so that your DNA does its job, causing the cell to do its job. I guess the best way to look at this is supplementation versus activation. With a supplement, the more of that supplement you take, let's just use milligrams as the example here, the more milligrams you take, the better the benefit. Kind of like a dimmer, if you've ever had a dimmer on your living room, the living room light switch to create a mood light. When you have when a husband comes home and he wants to make a romantic dinner for his wife, dim the lights down so to kind of set that romantic mood. Maybe put on some Barry White or some Teddy Pendergrass. You kind of get the feel, I hope. And then you bring out the meal, maybe by candlelight. Well, that's a dimmer switch. The more milligrams there is, the lower the light, or the more milligrams there is, the brighter the light, the better the benefit to you. Now, why do we look at supplements? Supplements are designed, in fact, it's in the name, supplements are designed to supplement something that we are deficient in, to increase our deficiency to sufficiency through supplementation. So if you're deficient in vitamin C, as an example, 1,000 milligrams isn't as good as 10,000 milligrams over a day's span. 10,000 milligrams is 10 times stronger if you're deficient in a vitamin like vitamin C. That is supplementation. That is not activation. Supplementation acts like a light dimmer. Activators act like a light switch. It's either on or it's off. If the light switch is on, it can't be more on. If it's off, it can't be more off. It's all or nothing. Whereas a dimmer switch it can gradually go up and gradually go down. Activators don't do that. All it takes, And that's why you don't see a graduated scale of milligrams. It's 1 tablet per day with food, using the NRF2 as an example, whether you're 100 pounds or 400 pounds. It is not significant with regard to dosing as far as your human size. It's an activation pathway, meaning it's on or it's off. If it only takes 1 to turn it on and you take 2 at the same time, you're wasting 1, because you can't turn it on once it's on, and it only takes 1 to turn it on. So, but you can benefit from 2 if you take them 12 hours apart. Then you get 2 cycles of that DNA activation, which in a 24-hour period may be for you more beneficial than just 1. That's a unique situation, but that's the difference between supplements and activators. So let's talk about that and what it looks like. Here's an example. So this nutritional intervention, whether it's NRF2 based on our Protandim NRF2 Synergizer product, or if it's just broccoli, whatever it is, it works on the cell signaling the same way. The molecule sticks to the receptor site. Kind of consider it like a basketball going into a basket. Once that, in this case, it's yellow for Protandim NRF2, once it sits in that cell, once it actually triggers that receptor, it opens up the pathway inside the cell. The sensor signals it, it senses it, and it signals the pathway to the nucleus, which is where you see gene activation. And then the nucleus of the gene will create the activation, creating the production of the antioxidant enzyme. So back to the supplement comparison to an activator. You can take antioxidants like a supplement. More is better, obviously, but can you take too much? Of course you can. You can overdose on antioxidants, but your cells can also make them. So you can take them or you can make them, and making them is superior because your body doesn't have side effects to what it makes for itself. That's a key thing. Your body doesn't have side effects for what it makes by itself, or if it does, it's an anomaly, and we call them autoimmune disorders, but it's not normal. It is not a normal biological thing to have autoimmune disorders. They are a mistaken identity or an inefficient immune response. So cellular activity creates this signaling molecule, receptor senses it, signals a pathway, goes to the DNA or the nucleus of the cell and produces the response. So the benefit is in your body with an activator. The benefit is in the bottle for the supplement. And I'm going to say that again. The benefit for an activator is in your body. In other words, your body creates the benefit, whereas the benefit in a supplement is in the bottle. You take the benefit, and making it is better than taking it. So now let's look at the individual products we're talking about. The nutrient or the pathway of NRF2. The nutrients are the ingredients involved. Milk thistle, bacopa, ashwagandha, green tea, turmeric, curcumin, black pepper, and lychee. You see that we only have 5 ingredients in our products. We have some interchangeable products there, interchangeable ingredients there for some of our international markets. But there's only 5 of the list that you see there of 8. So in our American formula, we have milk thistle, bacopa, ashwagandha, green tea, and turmeric. The curcumin, black pepper, and lychee are for our international markets, where we take one of the original ingredients out, supplement that in there, or substitute it in there, has the same response. So the nutrient creates the switch. The switch is the NRF2 pathway. That pathway to the DNA is the pathway responsible for antioxidant and detox defenses, antioxidant enzymes specifically. Detoxing by purging toxins into your bloodstream and eliminating through bowel movements and through urination. And the benefit, turning on your antioxidant and detoxification pathways, means to you a better expression of life. Less oxidative stress, greater detox and immune system function, higher caliber of life to you. All from a simple 5-ingredient herbal remedy that you take every day with food. Pretty powerful. That's one of the pathways. This is the antioxidant theory of aging. Each of these products I'm going to share with you address a specific theory of aging. This one is addressing the antioxidant or the oxidative stress theory of aging. The next one, the NRF1 pathway, not associated at all with NRF2, totally different pathway, totally different reason, totally different outcome. The nutrients here, acetyl L-carnitine, quercetin, alpha lipoic acid or ALA, grapeseed extract, and CoQ10. Those 5 ingredients in the right proportion trigger the NRF1 pathway. What's the switch there? Triggering mitochondria production and generating ATP, which is the source of cellular energy. Kind of think of it this way. If you've ever gotten towards the end of the day and your body says no, even though your brain says yes, you just don't have any more get up and go. Nothing left in the tank. That's what happens when your cells run out of energy. That is the mitochondria that does that. This switch pathway turns on in the cell, more mitochondria is produced, and with more mitochondria comes more ATP, the cellular energy that your cells need and that you need them to have to do the job you require them to do. And the benefit of this, turning on cellular energies, meaning you have more energy at your disposal. And I'm not talking about external energy like caffeine or sugar. This is internal energy because external energy wears off. Unfortunately, so does internal energy, but turning back on the pathway is the methodology here and the entire focus. So the nutrients flipping the switch and the benefit, better cellular energy for you. And when you have more cellular energy, your body has more longevity and more left in the tank at the end of the day. Now, NAD pathway. This one is I'm most excited about this because there's more common research on this, especially now in 2022 than the other two. And this is because this is the new frontier we have here. The 4 nutrients: wasabi, olive leaf extract, cuprous, niacin, which is copper and niacin combined, and theacrine. The switch, NAD pathway. The pathway responsible for sirtuin production and cellular cleanup. Kind of think of it this way. If you think of a machine, the more dirt and debris you have in the inner workings of a machine, the less efficient and the more bogged down it gets. A way to do the overhaul, clean it out. Kind of like why you change the oil and the filters of your car. You have better efficiency. That way the car lasts longer. Well, your cells have the same kind of backup. They have the same kind of byproduct of cellular replication, and literally cellular function is cellular debris. Inside the cells, you have specialized, consider them like Pac-Man, if you remember that 1980s and 90s video game, going in and eating up all the cellular debris, providing cleaner inner workings of your cells and allowing your cells to work more efficiently. That's the switch. The benefit is turning on cellular waste removal. This is massive. In 2017, the Nobel Prize in Medicine was given to Dr. Oshumi from Japan for the discovery of something called autophagy. Literally, it means eating self. So inside your cell eats up the debris that's inside your cell, restoring cellular efficiency. It's kind of what birthed keto, the keto lifestyle, the keto diet, restricting carbohydrates, loading up on fats and proteins causes your body to break down fat because it needs carbohydrates. If you're not eating carbohydrates, your body has to get it somewhere. It creates this keto pathway, breaking down fat to create carbohydrates. And guess what? You lose weight. So keto lifestyle, intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating, all because of autophagy. Well, what if you didn't have to eat only for like 6 hours and you could eat whenever you wanted? Within reason, of course. What if you didn't have to deprive yourself of the carbohydrates you like? What if you could just flip the switch to start autophagy and give your cells the inner workings of cleanliness and cleaning up the debris? That's what this product does. So the nutrients flip the switch. The benefit is cleaning up the internal environments of your cells. That's the sirtuin theory of aging. Now let's address all 3 at the same time. What if you had the ability to lower the stress to your cells? What if you had the ability to give your cells more energy to do the job you need them to do? And what if you had the ability to clean up the environment inside your cells all at the same time? In a systemic, meaning full body approach. All the cells in your body are more efficient. All the cells in your body have more energy to do what you need them to do, and all the cells of your body are in a less stressed environment. That, my friends, means a higher caliber of life for you, done by your body. meaning your body did it in its own wisdom based on the prompting or the flipping of the switch here. And there are no side effects to that. There's no manipulation. There's only enhancement. That's the supremacy of that right pathway that you saw that person standing at. The pathway could go either way. The supremacy of this is you're optimizing the function of the body by transforming the DNA, not optimizing the function of medicine by transforming medicine. Now, again, I'm not saying one is better towards anything other than wellness. If you want wellness, optimizing medicine is probably never going to get you there, because that's not what its focus is. If you want to optimize wellness and optimize life experiences, the natural way is always better. This is how we do it with activators. Flip the switch, feel better, do more, because the bottom line is if your cells can do more that you call them on to do, they are doing it more efficiently and they're doing it in a less stressed environment, you're going to have a completely transformed life experience, my friends. Now let's talk about essential vitamins and minerals. We do make supplements, because here's the deal. When you activate your cells and you also overcome vitamin and mineral and nutritional deficiencies, all of those pathways I just mentioned are going to be working better anyway. When you have better cellular nutrition, you have better cellular function. Now you throw on top of that cellular stress removal, cellular optimization of energy, and cellular optimization of performance. It's a 1-2 punch. So let's talk about the supplements that we do have. Our Daily Wellness, unbelievable product. Vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, and the unbelievable icing on the cake is the fermented yeast in this. Unbelievable. And we also have elderberry. Unbelievable supplements there, vitamins, minerals in that product. Axio with its vitamin B. Unbelievable what it does to the brain. Balancing brain chemistry with quercetin, DMAE, pine extract in there, pine bark extract. Amazing, amazing vitamin and mineral source. Omega plus, omega fatty acids, very important for cardiovascular, skeletal, and muscle health. And then lastly, Protandim NAD. If you remember those 4 ingredients in there, cuprous, niacin, copper, and niacin, nutrients, unbelievable supplement nutrients in these amazing products here. And this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as our offering. Lastly, I want to talk about additional nutritional support, meaning supplements plus. We have omega plus. The plus in that is the vitamin D. When you have vitamin D deficiency is one of the greatest reasons why people are ill. Vitamin D deficiency is rampant in the human species. Omega plus, omega fatty acids plus vitamin D, unbelievable. Probiotic. One of the greatest issues that we have as human beings is improper digestion and improper absorption. And I'm going to say something that's probably going to catch you guys off guard. It's not what you eat that matters. It's what you absorb that matters. And I'm going to say that again because it's worth repeating. It's not what you eat that matters. It's what you absorb that matters. So you can literally spend all kinds of great hard-earned money on organic fruits and vegetables, free-range chicken, grass-fed and finished beef, and line-caught and wild-caught fish for your protein sources, have horrible gut bacteria, and be wasting your money and creating very expensive bowel movements. I hate to say that, but that's the honest truth. It's not what you eat, it's what you absorb, and you have to digest it to absorb it. Part of that is the probiotics, literally the bacteria in your intestines. And if your bacteria is eating the food you're eating, then you're competing with your own gut, and that's never good. That's why prebiotic, the next product, when you have a fiber source for the probiotic, your good bacteria, the probiotic, eats the fiber source so that it doesn't eat your lunch. You want to eat your lunch. You want to digest your lunch, not your probiotics eat your lunch. So prebiotic and probiotic, wonderful pairing products there. And then lastly, our protein powder in our physique line. Now, we don't currently have anything other than this whey protein, and I don't know if we ever will, but that would be my hope moving forward because we do have great potential here. Protein is absolutely necessary, but we have amazing products, supplements plus, because that's part of our physique line, which is overall body slimming and nutrition moving forward, eating a healthy lifestyle by understanding what good nutrition is. Now, I want to close with some pretty exciting news. we have at LifeVantage, we have amazing products. We have amazing science that our products are backed by, that honor the science. But we also most recently have created some pretty cool third-party partnerships going forward. And so very excited to announce a 5-year partnership with the Linus Pauling Institute. If you know who Linus Pauling is, or if you don't know who Linus Pauling is, I encourage you to look it up. Look up on Google the Linus Pauling Institute. Linus Pauling is one of the most historical figures on understanding the benefits of vitamin C. And at Oregon State University, the Linus Pauling Institute is one of the most forward-thinking, progressive, natural thinking methods and scientific research facilities on optimizing human health through normal cell biology and DNA function. We have a 5-year partnership. We're going to be collaborating on research with them. They're going to be designing our research studies moving forward with future product development, and a wonderful partnership here. And this is, when you think of an institution, the caliber of Linus Pauling Institute, and they were excited to partner with LifeVantage for 5 years, that speaks about our company and what they see as our potential and what we see collaborating moving forward. An amazing, amazing partnership. Now, because there are healthcare providers on this call and on the Zoom tonight, I want to talk to you about some of the concerns that there is very common in this population of people. First, what do you do with this information? Can you even legally implement it and utilize these kinds of products in your practice? Well, we have 50 states in our country, and each one of them has state mandates on scope of practice. We have national standards that give everybody who is a licensed healthcare professional the scope of practice protocol that you must adhere to. So if you are curious about your own state and your own professional licensure, I encourage you to go look it up. Look at your scope of practice. Look for your state board of examiners. Look at your malpractice. Look at what you are capable or what you are licensed to be able to share and what you can moving forward. Some of you may be able to implement it perfectly well. Some of you may need what we call medical oversight or an additional staff member to do that who may be under your employment or in a contractual agreement with you as an affiliate or an associate in your practice. Some examples: nurse practitioners, dietitians, nutritionists, physician assistants, things of that nature, exercise physiologists. So look in your own individual state, look at your scope of practice, look at your malpractice laws, look at your state board of examiners, and specifically what you are licensed to do and whether or not you need medical oversight. There are websites where you can look this stuff up in your state. Then the other, if you find that these products are intriguing to you, you have a benefit where you can use them to extend your level of care, to extend your layers of service to your patients, yourself, and your community, then how do you bring it into the office with staff and training to make sure that everybody's on the same page? With Dr. Gloria and myself and Jennings, we can collaborate on this and the team to help your own individual office. If you've recognized already that you want to, you've done your research and realized there are ways you can legally implement them into your office, then we just need to show you how to do that so everyone is on the same page and that you are providing a collective approach with honor, integrity, and doing everything right legally for your patients and for your community. And then lastly, marketing. How do you do it? Do you do it in office with, say, lay lectures or lunch and learns? Do you do it online in the form of webinars? Or if you do classes, you can do a master class. You can put out information in newsletters. You can write a blog. You can have a podcast. I highly encourage healthcare providers to start their own podcast, become the wellness expert in their space, in their town, in their community, and do it however is comfortable for you. We can give you ideas because every one of those that I've mentioned and more, social media presence, people doing live videos on social media, people doing reels on social media, people having YouTube channels. There's many ways to get this information out there. But first, I would encourage you, one, be educated first. Understand the magnitude of what we're talking about with these products. Understand the magnitude of what the world is looking for right now evidenced by what's happening all around us. Big tech companies, big pharma, big tech in the Silicon Valley of California getting involved in companies like this and going after the quest to provide products like this on the pharmaceutical side and the nutraceutical side, or the nutrigenomic side and the pharmacogenomic side. Somebody I haven't mentioned yet, Dave Asprey, if you know who he is, from Bulletproof. He started Bulletproof Coffee. He has Upgrade Labs in the same area where Google, Apple, and Genentech and Jeff Bezos' Altos Labs in the Silicon Valley, California. It is becoming the biotech capital of the world. In fact, Dave Asprey invented the term biohacking. There are biohacking conferences around the world. I think it's the 8th or 9th annual biohacking conference coming up this year, which mostly physicians and healthcare providers go to learn more. So the key is the quest to optimize human DNA in the best way possible and the least side effects possible is a quest that many, many, many people are looking to get involved in. Why not you? Why not be the healthcare provider in your town that establishes yourself as the wellness expert, and then teach everyone else in your town as a collaboration? Because a healthy town comes from healthy practitioners all working together, knowing their place and having a collective strategy. So I would encourage you to, 1, educate yourself, 2, protect yourself by seeing what kind of legalities you have and what you need to do to implement these things. And then next, figure out how to bring it into your office. And lastly, how to market it, because somebody's going to do it. It's going to happen in your town. You might as well be first on something that the world literally knows very little about. And I'm going to close with what I see coming. Apple, Google, Genentech, and Calico Labs, 0 products to market despite a 7-year relationship with AbbVie Pharmaceuticals. Altos Labs, since they started January of this year, 0 products to market, but there's now a $3 billion investment to bring them to market. It will come eventually. There will be anti-aging pharmaceuticals. And here's what I think is awesome about that. Because there will be a massive global quest for whatever that product is. There will be a massive global quest for natural alternatives to whatever benefit that product provides. And when that happens, it will be a massive global quest for natural alternatives to that. And the first person in line is going to be the company that you represent, LifeVantage. We have 3 products to market, 1 for almost 20 years, 1 for the last 7 years, and 1 for the last 4 years. Nutritional products in the nutrigenomic space with no side effects other than detox, and that's a normal thing. Getting through that is easy, but we have a massive head start. We have a massive scientific approach. We have a massive lead on every other company that's chasing us, and they are. So why not be part of the company that's changing the world at the time where the world is asking to be changed, wanting to be changed, looking to be changed? They just don't know where to go, which means they need to hear from you. So hopefully I shared this information with you guys tonight enough to inspire you, to encourage you to go out and do your own research, to get behind this company that is the number 1 position, but we need assistance, guys. We cannot take this message to the world by ourselves. None of us even collectively can say this loud enough. We need people on this quest with us, which means we need you. And we need the world to be ready, and they are. The world has never been more ready for what we have than right now. Question is, how many people are you going to influence by taking advantage of this? So Dr.